My name's Aaron Kyro. I'm a sponsored skateboarder from the San Francisco Bay Area, and today we're gonna teach you how a skate park is made. All right, so we are here today with
Jordan,
the professional expert skate park builder working with Evergreen Skateparks.
Yep.
And how long have you been working for them?
4 years now.
4 years. And how many skate parks have you built in those 4 years?
Close to like 35, I believe, right now.
Wow.
35, just in case you guys weren't counting, is a lot of skate parks. Okay, so right now we're in Deer Lodge, Montana.
Yeah, beautiful place.
So if you could take us through the whole process, maybe from, every skate park is a little bit differently from how it gets started to the people that work on it. Jordan actually worked on the Red Lodge skate park that I was very heavily involved in. And so we want to know, actually how it's actually made.
Yeah. So we're a design build company, so we're passionate about how these parks turn out. The same person who's drawing this is the same person who's here and doing all the dirt work and getting things looking right. So we take our concept drawing, we're pretty close to it out here, but what's good about a design build company is we come in here in the field, and as we're building that drawing, we're not afraid to say, hey, this isn't working. We all skate, we're all passionate about how these turn out. They're passion projects for us, so we change stuff up a little bit based off that drawing.
So before this was all here, this is just a flat plot of land, or what did it look like?
So this particular one was flat. They have a high water table here, so we had to build this park up, and we put in what's called a lift station over there, so when the water comes into the drainage system, it pumps itself out. So normally we like to put our stuff in the ground, less money, we could do it faster, but this one has a high water table, this particular site, so as you can see, it's kind of built up somewhat like a castle. So we had to, for the first week, we had to build this thing up.
Wow.
So we basically laid our plumbing flat on this existing plot of land.
Okay, that's super interesting. Not something I would ever think about. The plumbing for a skate park is that they have to put it high, otherwise it's going to rain and snow. We're in Deer Lodge, Montana.
Yeah.
And then it's going to just be, there will be perpetual puddles everywhere. So you guys had to bring dirt in.
Yes, yeah, we had to bring a lot of rock in. Over 400 tons, or I'm trying to think what the number was.
400 tons of dirt. And
a lot of stuff.
And then you took your design, and then how did you, where do you even start in something like this?
We
just start sculpting the ground?
We roughly built it up, and then we kind of noticed, hey, the bowl isn't going to need as much, so we didn't build this up as much. We built up these platforms and stuff like that. So kind of strategically knowing what the design is like. We use what's called Trimble. We take our drawing and load it into a Trimble system, which is like a robot, basically, that we pull points and make sure we get the radius right, and then we were painting out what the park's going to be looking like as we're doing dirt, so we're strategically stacking it in smart places.
And this one here is about half done, so let's take a look at this.
Yep.
The dirt's built up, and then how thick is this concrete?
It's 4 to 6 inches. So we tweak very hard with our dirt work. So number one, we could see what the design's going to look like.
Yeah,
and
on the dirt.
Yeah, and the dirt. So number two, you're not spending this crazy amount of money because concrete's the most expensive thing with 10 inches of concrete. So it also lets you know as you're starting to go, you like it. We basically sculpt this in dirt so we can really get a feel for it and look at it and be like, all right, we love that. And then 4 to 6 inches of concrete is going to be on the top.
Wow. So fully sculpted in the dirt, and then we have these points of rebar, right?
Yep.
So then you lay down the rebar, which I can see over there on that little volcano type obstacle right there.
Yeah, that's basically, you can see a little bit of concrete on there. We kind of use overage of concrete sometimes, kind of overspray.
Yeah.
So what we do is we build it up with all that rock that you saw, and then we bring in either street sweepings, millings, or 3/4 inch minus rock, and that give you that last little bit of fine grading.
Right.
So we fine grade it with the rake, and then you compact that, and then you throw your rebar in. Pretty simple as far as that goes.
That's the most unsimple thing I can imagine. It seems so hard and so complicated to me.
Yeah.
I'm a house builder myself.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I can't build anything.
Actually, I'm pretty
I can barely run a drill.
I don't get how you compact the bumps like that.
So we have a roller over there that's hidden behind that truck. We used to have an entrance right here into the bowl. I'd go down in here, and you kind of rock and roll everything. You want to be safe with the roller. The roller's probably the most dangerous thing we mess with because it has a real high tip factor. So you want to run everything like a rock and roll, and yeah.
Yeah, and I feel
or
like
rock to fakie. I apologize.
Yeah, rock to fakie. Yeah, I feel like a lot of parks that I've skated, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but some parks, especially one of the older ones that are built, it's very hard to get the transition right. But you guys are masters at this.
Well, that's what a lot of people, we build parks saying, hey, we've been trying to get this for 25 years. And I'm like, now's the perfect time. In the late 90s, early 2000s, they were just going for it based off, technology of swimming pools.
Right.
And, they were figuring it out. They weren't totally getting the radiuses right or the blends right. And there was enough parks to ride and see, hey, is this right or wrong? And that's something we are very passionate about and tweak on. I mean, every single person who works here skates, and we love coming back to these parks and skating them, and we care immensely about it. So it isn't just us putting a park in for the community, which we love. It's also for ourselves as well. So.
Right, yeah.
Nice.
I see them on the Instagram page. They're building the park and then they're skating the park, and it's so sick.
Yeah, you need that product research, and and like we just keep getting better and better as the years go by. I mean, like I said, and I said it before, being a design build company that didn't just, here's the drawing, okay guys, build it.
Right.
There's a disconnect there with a lot of skate park building. Here, it's, you have an owner who's passionate about how the parks turn out. He is here doing the dirt work here. He's here cutting the concrete, help shaping it. We care about every little inch here, and tweaking on the blends and making sure everything rides nice.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on being accessible for the new rider and also accessible for the dude who rips. So we kind of keep that in mind in our design. There's a lot of spots where you don't have to drop in. You could just kind of
roll through,
get the flow going and just feel the essence of just the ride. But then, obviously you can get it going too if you want.
Right, so these pieces of wood in here, that stays?
No, those come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those come out.
Okay, so
we
can you take me to a part and kind of explain
Yeah, so for instance, let's just go this flat bottom. This bowl was poured all in one. We did you can see the seams here. So this whole thing was poured in one pour.
All in one pour?
25 yards is I think what we did here.
Okay, I just have to, can I jump in there?
Yeah, get in there.
Okay, just saying that doesn't really communicate how crazy that is. Everything that you see minus the circles in the middle was one pour.
Yep.
How much time do you have?
Well, we got 3 trucks of concrete for this one. It was 2 9-yard trucks, and I believe a 6-yard was our what they call cleanup truck.
Yeah.
And we started over here, worked our way down. We start spraying the concrete. Guys come in with transitions that are colored to what radius this is. So that's this one's a 4.5 radius, this one's a 5, and you run these wood checkers on it to see where you're at.
Yeah.
And then we get guys that come in with what they call Fresno cutters, and then they'll cut that, and then we float it with resin, and then sometimes magnesium, and then from that point, then you get into the tweaky steel troweling, which a lot of regular concrete guys don't do.
You literally said a whole paragraph. I didn't understand anything. You gotta dumb it down.
So basically, I don't really see any over here. Yeah. This isn't the right one, so don't let that throw you off. But there was a radius up here. A top plate is what we call it.
Yeah.
And then this flat bottom wasn't here, and there's that wood form over there that you see, and you use this to kind of check and see where you're at.
Oh, I got it.
So basically right there is our concrete pump. We own 2 of those and our air compressor.
Yeah.
And we do what's called shotcrete. So concrete comes out of there from the concrete truck, comes into there, and then at the nozzle there's a boot, and then that's when the air comes in, and it takes all that shotcrete and displaces all the concrete, and then it comes together, so it makes the strongest bond.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we do that. We get that to grade. Guys are coming in here and checking for me and seeing where I'm at, putting some marks, seeing how much more concrete needs to go in.
And this isn't a normal thing. All these procedures must have been developed specifically for stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like somebody's building a house and they're going through this kind of, or even their swimming
No,
pool.
I mean, this is basically refined, swimming pool techniques are refined. I mean, what they were doing in the 70s.
Really?
This is just a refined version of it, basically.
How did you learn this?
I've been working for 4 years, and I've followed up on the tales of guys that have been building parks since the 90s. So they've been gathering knowledge and spreading them amongst, our staff. And, Billy's had a lot of experience with skate park building with us and other companies. And Lance as well has been building concrete parks since the 90s. So
Really?
Yeah, and our other foreman's been here since he was 20, Richie, and basically has kind of grown up with the company too. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
So really, truly very passionate about building skate parks. So you guys were based out of somewhere else before, right?
The company started in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And then just kind of grew from there.
And now you guys are working a lot in Montana.
We work a lot in Montana. We have a partnership with NPS, Jeff Ament.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to give a special shout out to Jeff Ament with the Montana Pool Service. You're an absolute beast and an amazing, amazing individual.
He's making Montana you're not hearing about it right now, but this is the place to be. Skate road trip. There's no place like Montana.
I know. I was going to bed last night in my tent, and I was thinking, I have got to get Andy Anderson to do a whole video part in the Montana skate parks.
Oh yeah.
It's go time, Andy. Who else do we need to shout out?
Well, definitely Jeff, Montana Pool Service, Montana Skatepark Association, Board of Missoula. You know, Billy and Catherine from Evergreen Skateparks. You know, went out on a whim to start this from the beginning, and has made it kind of this great program to be a part of. I mean, we own all of our own equipment. You know, they're just so invested in the company. It's not just, we're not out here to make money. We're out to make a skate dream come true. And yeah, Jeff's creating this epic thing. So every summer we get to do a couple projects in Montana because of him, and they're passion projects for us, man. We get to be in communities that normally wouldn't be able to get a skate park, you know.
Yeah,
and that's
really,
where
really
Jeff
amazing.
comes in.
Yeah, so a huge shout out to Jeff Ament with Montana Pool Service and the Montana Skatepark Association. This is incredible work that you guys are doing, and you're actually putting this there for kids in the future. Like, I grew up in Red Lodge, Montana. There was nothing like this in the entire state of Montana, and now there's so many parks, which I just feel like gives kids an incredible opportunity that who knows where they're gonna go with that or what they're gonna do because they have this amazing facility to work on. So, shout out. All of them, and Evergreen Skateparks, absolutely. You guys are the absolute best. Okay, so in a sidewalk, you have these cracks, and they're set in so it's just a smaller sheet or just like a little square of concrete. But how do you prevent the cracking in something huge like this?
Well, what we know about concrete is concrete's gonna crack regardless.
No matter what.
No matter what, it's gonna crack. So that's what the rebar's there for. So we put in enough rebar that those hairline cracks are just that. You do a lot of saw cuts and stuff like that. Those end up being, you know, some maintenance issues moving forward. We're right here, this is where our pour stopped.
Yeah.
So this is kind of mimicking what a saw cut would be. And in our brains and, you know, and a lot of other people's, this is gonna be better than us putting a saw cut through here and having to caulk this.
Right.
And then here in a couple years, you're gonna have to do it. You go to all the even parks with saw cuts all over the place.
Yeah.
You'll see those cracks. Those are fine as long as there's no heaving or anything like that. That's
Right.
where the rebar comes in, and we put a lot of rebar in here to make sure it's tight and super strong PSI mix on the concrete too. So
How long would a park like this last?
you know,
Nobody's known because it hasn't gone that long.
yeah. I mean, we're still, that's what's crazy is skate parks are still in their infancy as far as like the new wave. You know, I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and there's Dodge Skate Park that's been there since the 70s, designed by Frank Hawk. Definitely is in a state of needs some repair, but
Yeah.
you can still ride it. We put what's called a sealer on top of all of our parks. It's an acrylic-based product, and it basically helps the rain kind of beat off. So that helps, especially in Pacific Northwest parks or
Right.
a park that's getting a lot of snow.
Yeah, that's the thing about the old Red Lodge Park. You have an environment like this, very hot in the summer, very cold in the winter, heavy snow, and anything other than just concrete just gonna get beaten and damaged. And it's just gonna be gone. But you have something like this. This is a castle, you know? Okay, so you sculpt the dirt, put in the rebar, pour the concrete, and then some final touches are, it's interesting, some of these are what's called pool coping.
Yep. So we have we've made all of our own molds for this.
Oh, you have your own mold.
This is Evergreen the block here. That's what we like to call it. We have all of our own molds, and they're all to different radiuses, and then, you know, we kind of make them based off of what this could be. Something like this, too tight of a radius, you just cut up a bunch of straights to make that happen.
Wow.
And then basically what we do is, so this is pouring. You could see Lance kind of scored this, and he's kind of prepping the mortar bed. This is kind of some of his extra material use. We use rapid set concrete that sets up real fast, and we just crank these out.
So some of them have pool coping, and then others have just
the steel,
steel metal coping. This is kind of a traditional, well, this kind of a thing is, there's nothing traditional about it. How do you bend that rail then? How do you set it in there?
So this rail we order from the steel company, Intermountain is who we got this steel from, in out near Stevensville, Montana.
So you just give them an order and
we
say,
give them
oh,
an
we
order.
need it bent like this?
Yep. So they come in these long rips, and then we get them kind of ish to what the drawing would be. We always carry over extra steel, so we have stuff to kind of tweak and change stuff up. But yeah, we get basically whatever that radius is, and we order that. And then sometimes we have to bend. We'll get like a come along and, you know, or get a machine and do some cowboy stuff. But
I was gonna say.
Usually it's bent to that. And then behind you here is what we kind of call a Sarlacc Pit, was what we've been calling these little things.
Sarlacc Pit.
And that's going to be hand form coping. So unlike that pull block that's previously poured, this is going to be poured in place, so all one piece. What we like to do that a lot in the high mountain areas, because pool block in high elevations likes to pop and stuff. Not that we're dealing with that here, but you'll see a lot more hand form from us in the mountain ranges.
Beautiful. So you have this over here is kind of, to me, it's almost like a, what do you call it? Like a pump track or a flow mixed with like bowl, and obviously there you just have the straight up bowl. And then over into this section, building a little street section.
Yes.
So cool. So you kind of have a little bit for everybody.
That's what, so Jeff's real passionate. We usually do a bowl based off of what he wants to do in a design. He's real passionate. He's a big passionate bowl rider. And then we've been doing these flow areas. I like to call them refined 70s parks. So it's like what these dream parks that these guys built back in the 70s with the radiuses figured out. So it's not like something that's going to throw you out. And
right.
It's like Derby and Santa Cruz.
Exactly. So yeah, we pride ourselves on the ride, man. I mean, obviously all the lips and stuff, you could do tricks all over this thing too, but you can also just, if you're not feeling it that day and you just want to cruise around, there's nothing better than some smooth, well figured out concrete, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like he was saying at the beginning, it's good for skaters of all different skill levels, because something like this, you don't have to work out how to like top over the coping. You can just ride up from the side onto the coping.
Ride and grind. So yeah, I don't know. We get a lot of people that used to skate back in the day that come back to skating because of our accessibility of the park. We get kids who've never skated before. And then we get rippers coming out here and just destroying this park and showing what it's capable of. Yeah, it's kind of best of both worlds. You know, it doesn't need to be this cool guy inclusive club. You know, it's we want everyone riding and having a good time. That's what it's about, you know?
Okay, beautiful. Well, I feel like we covered a lot of this. I don't know if we just want to walk through the street park and maybe in action situations. They're literally like grinding the rails down.
Yeah. He's over there working. So over here, half of that steel is done over here. As you can see, we basically galvy in. We pound in electrical conduit into the ground pretty hard, and then we weld it to the top, and then we weld what's called Z's onto the coping. So one will go this way and one goes that way.
Okay, and then these, how do you bend the wood like so many, like how would you make that?
So over there we have a table that it cuts our transitions. I'd have to show you to explain it better, but it's basically it's basically a compass.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, every 3 inches there's a hole and it represents a different radius, and you just move it back. So we cut all those wood, different radiuses that we have over here. And then this is called smart siding or bendy. So you are able to bend it. It gets a little crazy when you get to super tight radiuses, but sometimes we'll throw in some masonite or something to try to mix that up. But yeah.
So you toss a stake in the ground, bend the wood, and sort of screw or nail it in.
Yeah, we use screws out here.
Screws, okay.
Nails is some old school stuff, but some guys still like to use nails, some old form guys. So.
And then how did you bend this rebar? Like this, just look at that seam right there. Doesn't that look insane?
We have what's called a hickey bar that bends rebar. But, I mean, really you could bend rebar with your foot. You kind of put it down and just start working it. And
then sort of tie it together and get these things in here. So you can already see like what it's looking like. And then you're spraying the concrete.
Yep, and then we do shotcrete. At the nozzle is where that air gets introduced, and like I said, it separates every bit of material, and then at impact it all comes back together. So that's what they do, tunnels and bridges and dams, and shotcrete is the strongest form of concrete.
Because it makes it stronger if you do it that way.
Yeah, you introduce the air and it basically separates all those components and then brings it back together with force. And so basically this is now, so there was a challenge here with the park being have to build up so much that we had to think about how we're going to connect our flow area into our street area. So we tweaked a little bit on this entrance and over there, you could see. But this worked out really nice. We're pretty stoked about it. And then basically this will be the perimeter of the street area starting. You can see these stakes. These are grade stakes representing on how the height is. Number one thing in building skate parks is drainage. So you don't want standing water. I mean,
number one thing is drainage.
Number one thing is drainage.
I would have never thought about that.
And that's why we had a flood back in 2019.
Yep.
You know what, Gabe?
So everything we do, design and footprint and everything's based off of how's this water going to drain out of here. And so this street path, as you can see, there's no drains in here. In the park, there's about 6, I believe. Here, this will either be draining this way or that way.
Okay.
With this park, a lot of the stuff, we didn't want to really drain into this center area, so we're draining out on a lot of this. Right. So if you went to a board that was set here, to a board that was set here, we do 2% drainage. We figure that with levels or lasers, whatever. Strings. That's Sova, Sight Dog. We got, if you don't know if you've ever seen our logo, we got a kind of a rework of the Portland, Oregon logo.
Yeah.
And we got our dog Newt on there, and he's always on the site too.
You taking care of these guys?
Hi, buddy.
You want me to throw this stick, don't you? I know what you want, I know. I got 2 dogs of my own.
So yeah, right here, Stefan, he's not over here right now, was fabbing this up. So this is the rainbow rail that we got setting up here. We kind of weld a couple pieces of rebar here, and we kind of secured it in the ground with concrete, which is still wet right now. We just basically dug a post hole, putting that in there. And then he tack welded this up. We'll end up finish welding this later. So it's gonna be a fatty rainbow rail.
That's so amazing. So it's just there, and then you're gonna put all the concrete in and make it like match.
You guys are gonna miss it, but tomorrow we're gonna be pouring this. We're gonna be pouring that feature, which Tim just did the rebar, and then we're gonna be doing that whole entire top flat platform. It's gonna be about 24 yards.
Wow, sick.
And then we do the flat bottoms last.
And then you really find, like, how do you get the fine, like, smooth surface? You just have to go over it.
Troweling. Yeah. If you guys, I could show you my tools over there.
Yeah, let's check it out.
How long does it typically take to finish one? The whole park?
The whole park, it depends on square footage. We like to do 1,000 square feet per week is kind of what we like to aim for. This one's 9,500, so it's gonna be 9 weeks on this one. We're a little bit early. So I showed you those wood transitions over there in the bowl. This is the next step. These are called cutters. These are also bent radius wise. We have a color system for what numbers they are.
Oh,
so that is a 12-foot radius Fresno cutter.
So these are the final, like, you're going
No,
over
that'll
the...
be second step after the wood, where I showed you where you check with the wood to see where your grade's at when I'm shooting, and then guys come in with this and cut it. And then I could show you the other tools that we run next.
concrete's down.
Yep.
Okay.
Then we'll cut it with the different radiuses right here. As you can see, they're all color coordinated. We do a Roy G. Biv thing for our radius, so kind of might seem crazy, but we got it figured. And then you go into resin float, wood or resin, and these are also radius different colors for our system, so we know what numbers they are.
And this is to get the fine finish.
This will be the second process.
What?
Yep. So we got to keep going. I'll take you over to my hand tools. So that'll be your second step.
So literally like this.
Yep, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that.
I think I'm getting this, Gabe. I think I'm just gonna build my own concrete park.
Yeah, this is another type of float. So basically you shoot it, you check it, you cut it, then you float it. This will be another thing you can use for floating. That's a butcher block, we call it. And then the last tweaky step is these hand tools over here. So if you want to cover a lot of ground after you've cut it, you float it, and then you go to finish it, this would be what's called a funny trowel. This you could put on a pole. This will cover a lot more ground for you. And then you get into just a regular steel trowel. Like, this is what we use to edge the coping. This is what we use to edge the perimeter, 1/2 inch. And then the final step, you see guys tweaking with these things. So these are our steel trowels, and this is what gives you that last piece of finish. We like to leave a little bit of fuzz.
Yeah.
A lot of parks are over troweled, super slippery.
Oh yeah.
You want like a perfect amount of fuzz.
So you're not sliding out all the time. It's like a little bit grippy.
And that fuzz will kind of wear off over the years with the weathering too. So some guys like to trowel till kingdom come, and they're just making a nice marble for you to fall all over. So we leave you want to leave a little bit of fuzz. So whoever's building parks, leave some fuzz. And then so that's that. And then this is the concrete pump. We talked about that a little bit, but basically this is where the truck dumps in its concrete into the hopper.
Okay, so the truck puts the concrete into here, into the hopper. Shout out Stranger Things. And then
in here is 2 pistons that go like this.
Okay.
It's basically making the concrete come out that end that you see over there.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of different noodles and stuff that come off from there. And it goes to this hard line right there that you see right there. Then it goes to rubber. As you can see, I have my airline taped to it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It looks like Tremors. And then it's basically just...
Yeah. Hold on for dear life.
I feel like I pretty much know how to build a skate park at this point and can take us through all of the little sequences. If you guys have any questions or there's something we did not cover in this video, leave it in the comments below. I mean, just hearing you go through and the coloring system and the grading system, I just think to myself, there is 30 years of like people figuring out the best way to do this behind these parks.
Yeah, and it just keeps evolving. So check back in 20 years and
see where we're at.
We'll have other things figured out. Yeah, we're always adding new tools. And you saw the rebar over there. We use a rebar tying gun that speeds things up. Guys used to have to hand tie back in the day. So yeah, man.
Yeah, really, really amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking us through this.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, anything else you want to say?
Nah, appreciate it, man. Look forward to you guys checking out what else Montana's got to offer, man. Check back in a couple years. We're making the ultimate road trip come true. So don't tell too many people, but this is the spot to be.
Hit the Evergreen website. There's a skate park locator on there, and you can just go park to park to park to park to park. And I want to see some good video parts out there. Andy Anderson. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out all those videos right there. Subscribe, like, leave a comment below. And you, yes, you, we're here to help you learn to ride a skateboard. So get out there and have a blast.